And welcome back to Hardball Sports Talk, brought to you by Hardball Sports Media. My name is Brandon, and like always, I'm joined by with Alex, or by Alex. I'm not even quite sure what the right term is at this point.
Yeah.
Alex, how are you today?
Brendan, I'm here, a little sore, but I'm excited for tonight's episode or today's episode, whenever you're listening.
We're actually live. I didn't tell you this because it worked a lot better for uploading going live. So we're gonna go live for the time being. So we're live on both YouTube and Facebook right now.
Oh, all right, even better.
Yeah, even better. So hopefully you guys tune into the live stream. If not, hopefully you guys are listening on Spotify or catching this on YouTube or wherever you're catching us at. Thank you guys so much for the support. It means a lot to us. We have a lot going on today. And by a lot, I mean a lot. Like stuff in the last hour has dropped since we even, yeah. So we have a lot going on tonight and not a whole lot of time to do this. So we're basically just going to jump in and try our best to not do rabbit holes, but you know us, we're going to do it anyways. So,
Yep.
But the big news of the day, we'll get started right away here. Juan Soto, not Gregory Soto, because when I was doing research for this one, I typed in Gregory Soto, but Juan Soto, former Washington National, former San Diego Padre now, is traded to the New York Yankees, henceforth the Yankees hat.
Beautiful.
Yankees in this trade also got Trent Grisham, and going to the Padres from the Yankees is Drew Thorpe. He's the Yankees' number 5 prospect, number 2 pitching prospect for the Yankees. Spent the past year in Double-A, so that's the prized possession here. We also got Michael King, who's also a pitcher. Started 9 games for the Yankees last year, 49 appearances. 104.2 innings pitched, a 2.75 ERA. And considering you're pitching the AL East with Yankee Stadium, not the biggest ballpark in the world, and even Fenway's not that big, those are pretty impressive numbers there. Next, we got Johnny Brito. He was a rookie pitcher last year for the Yankees. Pitched 88 innings with a 4.3 ERA and a 1.26 WHIP. Can you hear me?
Hey, now I can hear. You froze on my end.
Yeah, it froze on my end too.
Huh. So nothing like a little dead air for a couple 30 seconds or so. Off to a great start.
Yeah. So not sure when I cut out there, but I'll do a quick rundown of the players again. The Yankees got Drew Thorpe, Yankees number 5 prospect. Johnny Brito, a rookie last year, pitched 88 innings for the Yankees. Michael King, another pitcher, went 49 appearances, 9 starts, 105 innings pitched. Randy Vasquez, 13th ranked prospect for the Yankees, pitched about 38 innings for the big club last year. And then Kyle Higashioka, Japanese names, I butcher them every time, and I'm sorry. But he's the backup catcher for the Yankees now. He's going out to the Padres. Not much there for depth, though. I mean, besides depth, he's early 30s, so not much to be excited there. I'm not really impressed by this haul for the Yankees. I'll be just completely honest with you. Or for the Padres, excuse me. The best you get is their 5th best prospect and 2nd best pitcher. But really, for Juan Soto, that doesn't seem like a whole lot.
No.
That's my personal opinion. I feel like the Yankees got a steal here. Yeah, they gave up 4 or 5 pieces, but only one of them really looks like a blue chip prospect, top 5. And I don't know how good the Yankee system is. But if you're able to protect your top 4 prospects, and really only give up pitching. That's really what they gave up was pitching depth. So I think it's a good trade for the Yankees. Give Aaron Judge some protection since Stanton can't stay healthy. Honestly, what this trade comes down to for me. And then the Yankees also made another trade. But do you have any thoughts on this trade before we move on to the other trade?
No.
All right. The next trade we got
I don't think much.
What's that?
I said I don't think much.
No, we know that.
Yeah, okay. Just making sure.
Yep. The next trade we got, which is the second time in the last 50 years this has happened. The Red Sox and the Yankees made a trade. Alex Verdugo is going to the Yankees for an exchange for a couple pitchers. I'm googling something real quick right here.
Do you know who the trade was? I think I know one of the trades. The last time these two teams traded with each other, or one of the players.
That's exactly what I'm actually googling right now.
Yeah, I think he was on the Yankees. Because I remember the Tigers looked at him towards the end of his career when we needed him. Stephen Drew was one of them.
Okay, yep.
And I don't remember who. I'm sure once you find it, I'll remember the name. But I remember Stephen Drew was one of them.
Well, this is actually, according to MLB.com, the only 8th trade in the history of baseball for between the two teams. This one, the Red Sox get right-handed pitcher Greg Weissert, right-handed pitcher Richard Fitz, and right-handed pitcher Nicholas Judice. Yankees get outfielder Alex Verdugo. The last one, there's a couple of small transactions here. We got Red Sox getting a pitcher for an outfielder, looks like a couple minor leaguers. In 2021, Adovino went to the Red Sox for a player to be named later. In 2014, the one you talked about, Stephen Drew, the Yankees got him. In 1997, there's Tony Armas Jr. And Jim Mercer going to the Red Sox for Randy Brown and Mike Stanley. I'm not recognizing any of these names, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, same here.
And then obviously the big one would be in 1919, and that one obviously would be cash for Babe Ruth, which is probably the worst trade in history. We should do an episode about like really bad trades.
Ruth.
Yeah. Who's some chick named Baby Ruth? We should do an episode, though, on some of the worst trades in history, and that one obviously would end up on that trade, trading Babe Ruth for cash to go fund a play.
Right. Let me ask you this: How do you feel about in division trading?
I personally am not a fan of it, just because it's going to come back to bite you. For example, the Lions and the Packers made a trade this past draft. Lions traded up to get Brian Branch, and Brian Branch made some nice plays against the Packers at Lambeau Field. It's almost like, yeah, you guys traded me to this team just so I can play you twice a year or whatever sport you're in.
Right.
I'm not a fan of it unless if you really think you're getting the better of the trade, but very rarely do both teams win a trade. So and it's not even just in division trading either. It's not just like, like the Yankees making a trade with Baltimore. Like, it's not even that. You're literally trading with your mortal enemy.
Right.
Like, that makes it even worse. Like, that would be like the Packers and the Bears making a trade. Like, that's basically, in football terms, what just happened. Or if you want to talk college football, which trades aren't a thing right now in college football, but that'd be like Michigan, Ohio State making a trade, or Auburn, Alabama. Like, that's the kind of level of hatred we're talking here.
Right.
But it did happen. It's crazy as it is for those teams to make a trade. Richard Fitz, at the time of the trade, was the Yankees' number 16 prospect. Spent last year in Double-A. Greg Weissert, he's been a pitcher for the Yankees bullpen. Been called up and down from Triple-A and New York the last couple of years. And then Nicholas Judas is a complete wild card. He has literally not pitched a pitch in pro ball, and that includes rookie ball. I went on his baseball reference page, and all it showed was college stats.
Huh.
He was drafted this past draft by the Yankees. They must have changed the rules or something, or I'm not sure, but I thought you had to wait like a full year before draft year before you got traded. So maybe it's the player to be named later, and the media leaked the player to be named later.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what's going on here. Or maybe it was the draft before and he just hasn't pitched yet. I don't know. But I thought I saw the 2022 draft. No, it'd been 2023. Speaking of the draft, though, this isn't our show notes, but baseball switched to the lottery for their drafting order. And the Tigers finished in the 11th in the rank or in the draft lottery, which is where they were projected to pick. And then Cleveland, with a 2% chance, won the lottery. This wasn't a question that we discussed earlier, but I just thought of it. What are your thoughts on lotteries for drafts? Are you a fan of them? Do you hate them? What are your thoughts?
I say I hate them only because they've never helped my team at all. Teams I root for.
So I'm a fan of them, but baseball is the one sport it makes the least amount of sense for.
Yeah. Baseball is the drafting is completely different.
Yeah.
Than any of the other sports. Yeah.
Like with basketball, for example, last year, you knew who the number one pick, and you knew he was probably going to be something special. And Victor, I'm not even going to try that one. Yeah, that one. Or like the year that the Pistons won it, everyone knew that Cade Cunningham was going 1-1. Or like LeBron's year, like obviously you knew LeBron was going 1-1. Baseball, yeah, once in a while you have a guy you know is going 1-1, but it still takes, if you're lucky, 2 years for him to make it to the big leagues.
Yeah.
So it's just something that I don't really understand why baseball's doing it. I think football should go to a lottery. But I'm pro lottery, even though it's never helped the Red Wings.
Yeah,
it's never helped.
That's because the commissioner hated the Red Wings.
It helped the Pistons one time, but the Pistons can't do anything right. So
they can't even win in the month of November.
No.
Literally in December.
Well, they play tonight, so maybe they'll win tonight. I doubt it, though. No, there's not a chance. The Texas Rangers won more games in November than the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah.
That's how great that month went for the Pistons. Anyways, but I'm pro lottery. I think some people say it encourages tanking. I don't see it where it does because, for example, Oakland, they had by far the worst record in baseball, and I think they're picking 4th. So, or all those times where the Red Wings had the worst record, and we're picking, 4th, I think it was. It was like 3rd or 4th Raymond year.
Yeah.
So, just because you suck doesn't mean you're going to get help. Basically, what tanking with the lottery does. And I'm all for that. Or you could be like Carolina Panthers and trade your first pick and still suck. You can do it that way too, but that's that's not recommended.
Right.
But anyways, moving on now. New baseball story here. Tigers' old manager and also Pittsburgh Pirates' old manager Jim Leyland has been inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Well deserved. I'm kind of shocked it took this long.
Yeah.
What he did with the 2006 Tigers is something incredible. Now, I know that the Tigers had some nice pieces there that year, but, I mean, in 2003, they lost 119 games. 3 years later, Old Smokey brings them to the World Series.
Yeah.
And some of the stories that, like Sean Casey, I don't know if you've ever heard of any of his stories, but just look up Sean Casey, Jim Leyland stories, and he'll crack you up. And another thing I liked about Leyland is he wasn't afraid to get after his players. He wasn't I'm not saying he was abusive or anything like that, but he wasn't trying to be your friend either.
Right.
He was there to do his job, and he made sure you did your job. And if you did your job, you would probably be okay with old Skipper. But if you didn't do your job, he was just going to tell you about it. And he always stood up for his players too. For example, this play I still can't watch to this day, and you know exactly where I'm going with this one. The perfect game that wasn't, according to one person on this planet, Jim Joyce, we're talking about you. But after that, Leland basically went out to Jim Joyce and said, for your sake, I hope you got that call right. Leland then goes back to the dugout, and I don't know if he saw a replay or something, but he, after the game ended, he went out and let Jim Joyce have it.
Yes.
And you like seeing that out of your manager, keeping your players accountable, but also standing up for your players. The Tigers really had a gem there in Leland. And really, since he's retired, the team hasn't been the same. Now, I know that it's not just Leland, and there's general managers named Al Avila that have been in the way here. But one thing that Al Avila did right was bring in A.J. Hinch. And Scott Harris decided that also that was probably a good move too. So he extended A.J. Hinch. The terms of the contract last I looked were not publicly disclosed. Hinch said it's not a player, not Hinch. Scott Harris said it's not a player contract. So I don't really have to tell you guys what's going on here. And that's what the Tigers want to do. That's what the Tigers want to do. So I have no idea how long this contract is for or really anything about this contract besides A.J. Hinch signed a multi-year extension with the Tigers. It's a good move, obviously, by the Tigers. I was honestly kind of worried that he would bolt after this year just because the team is kind of stuck in purgatory right now. Like, there's some good pieces there. Don't get me wrong. There's some good pieces, but there's still a lot of work needs to be done. And you almost would wonder how much patience Hinch would have. Well, he answered that question, or else they offered him a lot of money. One of the two. I'm probably going with the second one.
Yeah.
But again, the terms were not disclosed. Do you have any comments on Leland or Hinch?
I think for what Hinch has done with the talent that he's been given is pretty impressive. And I think I told you this before. Obviously, he wasn't available then, but if we were ever transitioned from Leland to Hinch, we would have had at least 2 World Series by now with Hinch and the talent from when Leland retired to now, I guess.
So after Leland, what did they go? Was that Osmus, or was there somebody between Leland and Osmus?
No, that was Losmus.
Okay, so I think if you would have hired Ron Gardenhire first and then went to Osmus, I think if you'd have swapped those two eras, I think the Tigers would have won a World Series.
You think Gardy would have got him?
I think Gardy could have done it just because he's got the experience and he wasn't learning on the job. If you want a manager to learn on the job, you kind of give him a team that if he fails, it's not the end of the world with.
Right.
You let him grow with his team. And so I think if you switch Gardy and Osmus, I think we're talking differently about both of them, to be completely honest with you. But Osmus was given an all-star team and basically threw it away.
Yeah. Well, I think he made the playoffs once, and then it was downhill from there.
Yeah, in the 1 year, I think they got swept by Baltimore, too.
Yeah.
So, but it is what it is, unfortunately. But I agree if the Tigers had a manager like Gardenhire or Hinch at that time, especially with that pitching staff of Porcello, Verlander, Scherzer, Sanchez was there.
Sanchez and
Doug Fister.
Fister, that's right.
Not all these guys were all-star pitchers like Doug Fister, Anibal Sanchez, Rick Porcello, for example. They weren't all-star pitchers, but they were good pitchers.
You could trust them to pitch. Yeah. They weren't going to put up impressive numbers.
Yep, and there wasn't really a weak chain in the link either. Like,
agreed, yes.
Like, there wasn't ever going to be like a long losing streak because the next day starter was going to give you a good start.
Yes.
So, unfortunately now we can't even get through 3 starts without having a bullpen game.
Right.
But there is some good news in Detroit right now, and that is
Yeah.
the Detroit Red Wings have been playing some good hockey as of late. We figured give them a minute of our time. They've been on a hot streak as of late. Do you know their record as of last time frame?
No, but I could tell you their only loss since the horrible Sweden series was to the New York Rangers. So I think they've 5-1 since
I'm
the
looking it up right
Sweden
now. By the way,
series.
the Pistons are losing by 3 right now. So
Yeah, shocker.
yeah,
But I will say with this hot streak, the Wings have consecutively beat the Bruins back to back the time they played, and I think that's the only 2 losses in regulation that the Bruins have.
yeah. At the time of the last one, so since the Sweden series, the Red Wings are looks like 6-1, and like
Okay,
you said, the
6-1.
only loss was to the Rangers. And really, the Rangers game, I watched that one. It wasn't their greatest game, but
No.
like the goaltending, I can't remember. I think it was Lions in that game.
I
Might
don't
have
think
been
he was in the
Husso.
Rangers game. I think it was Huso because he came back from his was it bereavement leave? Whatever they call it for baby leave, paternity
Paternal or
leave.
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
paternity.
whatever it's called.
But it kind of reminded me. I don't remember how long ago this game was, but there was a game against the Rangers at Madison Square Garden that Jimmy Howard played in for the
Hmm.
Red Wings, and the Red Wings had no business winning that game. Absolutely no business winning that game. Jimmy Howard stole that game, and I was kind of like, "Holy crap!" If they win this game, Husso is having a Jimmy Howard moment here.
Yeah,
Um, but their last 3 games that they've won, last night, Tuesday night, they beat the Sabres 5-3. Game before that, they beat Montreal in Montreal 5-4, and then they beat the Blackhawks 5-1, and then the Rangers lost. 3 games before that were 4-1 against the Wild, 5-2 against the Bruins, and 4-0 against the Devils. So they're getting lots of goals, and for the most part, they're limiting their opponent from scoring. And
yeah,
that's a really good recipe for um, winning hockey games,
yeah.
scoring goals and
Especially
stuff.
after last couple years where they've struggled on the defensive end and given up those goals.
Yep. They've upgraded the defense a lot, and they've upgraded the goalies too.
Hmm.
Now there's more of the competent defenders out there than just Sider.
Right.
Like for a while there, it felt like Sider and then 5 guys who had no idea what was going on.
Right.
And when Sider, like I love Sider, don't get me wrong, but when a second-year player or rookie defenseman is by far your best defenseman, you're in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, that's not a good sign.
No. But I was scrolling around Facebook this afternoon, and I saw this post, and it just cracked me up. If you're watching either on YouTube or Facebook right now, this is the Red Wings power play stats the last 7 games. They've got 10 goals and 32 opportunities for a 31.3 percentage. That's really good numbers for a power play. But if you notice something here, this is from MLB Network. MLB Network stands for Major League Baseball.
Oh, it's not the National Hockey League?
No, that is not the National Hockey League.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we got a kick of that in the comment sections. We're like, this is hockey, but it's the Red Wings, so we're okay with it. There's a lot
Yeah.
of Detroit Red Wings fans on the comment section there.
Yeah,
Cracked me
I'm
up.
not complaining.
No, and like we just said, I'm gonna revisit. I want to revisit this, but I had an episode early on in the podcast days when I was just doing this by myself. I did an episode where I ranked my confidence in the 4 Detroit teams, and 2 years later, I'd like to revisit that
Mhm.
because my confidence in some of the teams has either very much increased or very much decreased. Or some of them have stayed exactly where I said they would be.
Yeah.
But that's something I'd like to, once football season I think ends, and we have because basically football rules the sports world. So once the NFL slows down a little bit, we'll do all these like greatest trades in history or ranking different things and ranking teams, whatnot. So we have a lot of ideas, but like I said before, if you guys ever want anything you want us to cover, shoot me a text, shoot Alex a text, or comment on the Facebook or YouTube video links, or email us at hardballsportstalk@gmail.com and say, hey, I want you guys to talk about this. And if it's something that we feel comfortable with, we'll go ahead and talk about it. There's some things that we want to talk about. For example, like the NBA in-season tournament. But I don't remember last time I watched an NBA game. I'll be completely honest with you guys. So I don't really have the knowledge to be talking about the in-season league. No, I know about it a little bit, but not enough to really inform you guys about it. So that's where that's at.
Yes.
But anyways, we're going to move on now to...
Well, we kind of miss the Wings with their hot streak.
Oh, yeah.
Probably the greatest American-born hockey player. A lot of people would probably agree with that. I don't know about you. Patrick Kane will be making his debut against the San Jose Sharks.
Yep, and I'm that good save.
Excited to see how he fits in the lineup.
I got a text from a friend the other day asking me, he goes, I'm not this individual, he watches a lot of college hockey, he doesn't watch a whole lot of the NHL, and he goes, I don't watch a lot of NHL, but I know that when Kane was with the Blackhawks, he was really good, so why are all these comments on Facebook and all these other places, Kane's garbage, what are we signing him for? Well, the reason why we think there's a lot of skeptics out there on this signing, and I'm not going to speak for Alex, but I'm not a skeptic of the signing.
I'm not either.
I see this as a low risk, high reward type thing here.
Yeah.
Because yes, he's coming off hip surgery, and yes, he's on the wrong side of 30. But at the end of the day, you have a 1-year contract for what, like $2 million? So it's not like we have a lot invested into him. And when Alex DeBrincat had his 40-goal score season, he was on the same line as Kane. And I know this was a few years ago and Kane's not the same player, but if you get any familiarity with DeBrincat and get him a player that he's comfortable playing with on the power play line with him, good night. Those power play numbers are going up even more. So I just see a lot of potential. Yes, it might not work, but if it doesn't work, you lose $2 million in one season. It's not like we have this guy signed for a long-term contract. It's literally this year.
Right.
So,
and like I said, he's a guy that he'll be able to score or be able to assist a lot.
Yeah. So I'm completely okay with this signing. I don't understand the skeptics at all. Yes, if it was a longer-term contract or a lot more money involved, I would completely agree with you guys, but I just don't see the hate in this one. It's low risk, high reward, if you ask me.
Yes.
And then finally today, we're going to move on to the NFL game picks. I didn't even look at how we did last week, to be honest with you. I think I did pretty good last week.
Yeah, I went 8-5 last week. I'm not the right guy to follow with the picks.
I got 3 wrong last week. The 3 games I got wrong were the Cardinals and Steelers, which, if you go back and listen, I said, this one's on upset alert. I can't do it because I can't pick the Cardinals here. Should have picked the Cardinals.
Hey, should have went with your upset, man.
Should have gone with my upset.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, Jordan Love has become the next Aaron Rodgers and beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
With a little bit of help from the refs, but at the same time, the refs helped the Chiefs a little bit too. So, and then the Bengals upset the Jaguars, and we'll talk about the Jaguars here when we get to their game. But Trevor Lawrence sprained his knee in that game. So that's a big loss there for the Jaguars. Did I send you that post about the college football playoffs with the Jaguars? Yeah. So there's this meme going around for the rest of you guys. Basically, the NFL committee is going to vote out the Jaguars, even though they'll probably win their division. But if Trevor Lawrence is injured, then they're not going to let them play in the playoffs because injury
Yep.
to quality positions. So,
Yep.
Obviously, that's a complete joke. Rip on the college football playoffs for Florida State. I want to talk about that for a second. I know we had an episode about this, but so the criteria for the playoffs, depending on how you want to talk about it, there's two different criteria you can go with.
Mm-hmm.
You can go with the criteria that a lot of us would like to go to: win your games, best records, win your conference, like as it should be. Or you can do it the 4 best teams. And either way, you have a beef for 2 different teams, because if you're doing the first one where you win your games, you win your conference, Florida State has a legitimate beef.
Yeah.
We talked about that the other day. But if you go with the 4 best teams, Georgia's one of the 4 best teams in this country.
I was going to bring that up. How do you go from 1 to drop out of 6 when you lost in the title game by 3 and you haven't lost in like 3 years? Georgia was one of the better teams, one of the 4 best teams. Yeah. Problem is, who are you taking out?
Basically, if they lost that game week 2, they're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's just the timing of the loss. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's always the timing. Just like the Alabama loss to Texas didn't hurt them. Obviously, it was beginning of the season, early September, and look, they're both in the playoffs right now.
Yep.
But yeah, I was gonna bring that back up that Georgia is one of the best 4 teams.
Yeah. But like if you wanna, if Georgia lost to like South Carolina or something like that early in the season, okay, that's a bad loss. But like Alabama losing to Texas, excuse me. Now, granted, it was at home, but still, Texas is a good football team. They're in the college playoffs. It's not like they lost to a crap school themselves.
Right.
But anyways, let's get going on the picks here.
Yep.
Thursday night football. So we're doing this one live. So this game's tomorrow. Most likely, though, you're probably listening to this one on Thursday. So tonight or tomorrow night, depending when you're listening, Thursday night football is a Big Ten West matchup. We got the New England Patriots versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Patriots can't score. Pittsburgh doesn't really like scoring either. That's why I call it a Big Ten West matchup here.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Steelers just because they can score more. Not much, but they can score more. And it's a home game for the Steelers. So I like the Steelers here in this matchup.
Yeah, literally in my little cliff notes and research, all I said was wow for this game.
Yep.
Not to mention the fact that the Patriots are the first team in however long to lose 3 games while allowing 10 points or less.
Well, yeah, last week we talked about that. They were the first team since like 94 to do that twice in a row since the 93 or 94 Patriots. Now it's 3 games in a row. Yeah. And I don't know if that's ever been done before.
Yeah.
And I could see it happening for a 4th week in a row, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah. So, I'm taking the Pittsburgh Steelers as well.
Yeah. That's our confidence in Bill Belichick, how the mighty have fallen. It's just crazy how fast that they've gone downhill.
Yeah.
The next game we got here is Tampa Bay at Atlanta. In the NFC South, this division. The Panthers, by the way, have been officially eliminated in this division race.
I did see that.
Yeah. But they're not in this game. We got Tampa Bay at 5-7 and Atlanta at 6-6. I don't really know why, but I'm taking Tampa Bay in this game.
Yeah, this was a coin flip for me as well, and I ended up on Tampa Bay. Why? I don't know. Just Tampa Bay.
As crazy as this is going to sound, I trust Baker Mayfield more than whoever Atlanta is going to throw in at quarterback.
That does not sound crazy. You're not crazy.
It sounds crazy, though, because like nobody trusts Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, well,
he's been better this year, but I mean, like his whole career, he's been like up and down.
Yeah.
But I think there's more upside with him for Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay's roster isn't terrible. Either is Atlanta's, but I just think there's more in Tampa Bay's roster, and I like them to win this division. Next, speaking of winning the division, we got the Lions, who are at 9-3, who are not playing like a 9-3 football team right now, against the Chicago Bears at Chicago. The Bears gave the Lions a heart attack the Sunday before Thanksgiving. And that's really started a downslide here for the Lions. They just haven't been playing good football since then. They started up 21-0 against the Saints and tried everything they could to lose that game, including injure Derek Carr, which you don't want to injure Derek Carr because then Jameis Winston, the better quarterback, goes in there. But anyways, I'm going to take the Lions to win this one. There is a big injury, though, for the Lions. Aleem McNeil, the defensive tackle, was placed on IR with a sprained knee, so he's out for at least the next 4 weeks. So that's kind of a big loss for the Lions. And that defense needs all the help they can get right now because they can't stop anything right now.
Which is why I have Chicago Bears winning this game over the Lions. Because if you look at the first time they played, the Bears should have won that game. If it wasn't for a couple miraculous turnovers by the Lions. But Justin Fields is probably going to run all over them, as he always has against the Lions. I think he's going to put up great fantasy numbers for someone. So
I think he's on my team.
You might want to start him, but I got the Bears beating the Lions this week.
Next, we got the Colts at the Bengals. The Bengals here, the quarterback now is Jake Browning, with Joe Burrow being out for the season with his wrist injury. The Colts obviously sticking with Gardner Minshew here. I like the Colts in this matchup. I think they just have more depth on their team. I know the Bengals just beat the Jaguars on Monday Night Football, but I just like the Colts here. I think they can control the game a little bit better than Jacksonville was able to. So I like Indy here in a low-scoring game.
I'm going to take Cincinnati at home. Yeah, that's all I got.
All right. Next, we got Jacksonville. As we said, Trevor Lawrence is out for the time being, most likely with a sprained knee. So CJ Beathard, the old 49ers quarterback, will be starting against the Browns. The Browns' defense is something different. Their offense, I would assume that Joe Flacco is going to continue starting for them because he's literally the only adult in the room. But when I was picking my games today, I was looking that up, and they haven't announced a starter yet, according to Stefanski.
Are you serious?
Yeah, Stefanski won't name Flacco the starter.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. I don't know why, because like I said, he's the only adult in the room right now.
Yeah.
I'm picking the Browns because they're going to start Joe Flacco, like they have to.
Mm-hmm.
And with that defense, Joe Flacco, he's not an elite quarterback. He never has been. He never will be. But if you can give him a good defense,
he won a Super Bowl. All right, he's an elite
so did Trent Dilfer. So did Trent Dilfer.
Yeah.
You give him a good defense running game, and he can win you games.
Yeah, I got Cleveland at home. Just because of that injury to Trevor Lawrence. I think if Lawrence was playing, then obviously I'd pick Jacksonville. But with him out as of right now, I'm gonna take Cleveland at home.
Next, we got the Carolina Panthers against the New Orleans Saints. I looked this one up trying to figure out who's starting at quarterback for the Saints. They haven't ruled completely out Derek Carr. Either way, I don't think it really matters. I like the Saints in this matchup. The Panthers are kind of a mess right now, and I think it just continues to spiral out of control for them.
Yeah, I agree with you. New Orleans.
And then next we got the Texans against the Jets. The Jets are going back to Zach Wilson because Tim Boyle, to quote the late Dennis Green, is who he thought they were. And so the Jets have moved on from Tim Boyle. The Texans playing probably the most shocking team in the league right now at 7-5. A lot of people, including myself, thought they'd be at most a 5-win team this year, and now they're literally fighting for the division. Great story going on in Houston. I picked them to win this game. I just don't trust the Jets at all.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen the quarterback play from Zach Wilson lately. I'm going to take Houston as well over the Jets.
Next, we got the Rams versus the Ravens. The Ravens by far the better team, and that it's a home game. Teams out west traveling out east typically don't do well with a 1 o'clock start, so I'm going to take the Ravens to win this game.
Yeah, I got Ravens winning too. They also had their bye week last week, so they had a little more time to rest as well. So I'm going to take the Ravens.
Next, we got the Vikings versus the Raiders. The Vikings are skidding a little bit here. Josh Dobbs is coming back down to earth a little bit. The Raiders, they've been playing okay since letting go of Josh McDaniels. I think they're 2-1 since the firing, maybe 2-2. I think they had a bye week though. But anyways, I'm going to take the Raiders to win this game, just because I think Josh Dobbs is becoming more and more who he actually is. I don't think he's this elite quarterback that he was playing as for 2-3 weeks. I think he's a serviceable journeyman who's going to win you 2 or 3 games, but he's going to fall apart after a while. And I think that's what we're watching right now.
Yeah, I'm also going to take the Raiders too at home. Not to mention the fact that Josh Dobbs has 6 turnovers in his last 2 games. So ball security with him or throwing interceptions, whatever it was. I don't know. I don't watch their games, so
there's been a lot of interceptions.
Okay,
so I haven't watched them either, but I just look at the stat line.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Raiders.
Next, we got the Seahawks traveling to San Francisco. The 49ers coming off a beatdown in every sense of the word, including security guards getting into fights with players against the Eagles. Have you ever seen that before, by the way? I didn't even know they had bodyguards on the sideline, to be honest with you. And then
I knew that basketball teams, they have like their own team security, but I didn't know that NFL teams had their own security.
But like, it makes sense in basketball because they have courtside seats like right next to the team. So it kind of makes sense. But the NFL, you got a big wall plus 20 feet after wall with security guards lining up against the wall.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, the 49ers just beat up on the Eagles and proved to the country that they're probably the team to beat in the NFC. And I think they continue their dominance against the Seahawks.
Yeah, I think that was a huge momentum game for them. Was this the rematch of the NFC Championship for last year?
Yeah, and all the 49ers players said if we had any of our quarterbacks, we would have won that game.
And yeah, they kind of backed it up. So.
Yeah, they backed that one up.
I think this game's actually going to be a bit closer than people think. Why? I have no idea. But I'm taking San Francisco.
Well, I will say this: Pete Carroll in Seattle always plays tough games. Like they're not an easy out. So I could see this game being close, like you said.
Yeah,
I just think San Francisco has too much firepower. And we've talked about this before. The MVP of the league, if I had a vote, is Trent Williams. And I know he's an offensive lineman; he'll never win it. But you take him off the team, they lost 3 games in a row. He comes back, and all of a sudden they're back to being the dominant football team we've known them to be.
Yes, yeah.
And I don't think that's a coincidence.
No.
Next, we got the Buffalo Bills at the Kansas City Chiefs. Buffalo at 6-6, Kansas City at 8-4. 8-4 is not a bad record, don't get me wrong, but these are 2 teams that are underperforming this year. The Chiefs losing to the Packers and the Lions. When the NFC North is beating up on you, that's not a good thing, especially this year with the NFC North being a little bit down. Anyways, I think the Chiefs rebound here. I think Buffalo, I don't think they make the playoffs this year. I really don't. I think Kansas City rebounds here and beats the Bills.
Yeah, I got Kansas City. They have not lost back-to-back games this season either. So I think that streak's going to continue. And the Bills are just, I don't even know what to say. Yeah, give me Kansas City.
It's been a mess in Buffalo this year. Next, we got the Denver Broncos versus the Los Angeles Chargers. The Broncos are at 6-6. They've been playing better football as of late. And then the Chargers, that one team, again, week to week, you don't know what team you're going to get.
Yeah.
And Denver, their defense, their team basically relies on turnovers. If that defense can create turnovers, they win the game. I think they will be able to create turnovers this week, so I'm taking Denver to win this game.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. In the Chargers last week, they played the Patriots and won 6-0.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I gotta say about that game.
But I will say this: the Patriots defense is probably, well, it's the strength of their team.
Well, obviously.
Well, yeah. But Bill Belichick, he can coach defense.
Yeah.
It's the offense that's been questioned with him since Tom Brady's left.
Mm-hmm.
But defensively, they've always been a tough team defensively to face. The next game we got is the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Dallas Cowboys. So I listen to a lot of talk sports radio, and watch a lot of like the sports shows and stuff like that. And all the talking heads are like, "Oh, this is Dallas's prove it game." Who has Dallas beat this year?
That would be nobody.
Yeah, I think they beat Seattle last week, didn't they?
Yeah, it was a Thursday night game.
Yeah. So you're one. Everybody else they beat this year is under 500. Give me Philadelphia.
You're really passionate about that, I think.
Yeah. Just because, like, I don't understand all this. I mean, I understand the Cowboys. Everyone's going to talk about the Cowboys because they're America's team or whatever. But, like, they haven't beat anybody this year. Philadelphia, yeah, they just got embarrassed by the 49ers. But guess what? 49ers beat a lot of good teams. The Cowboys don't beat anybody. Like, they are 1-3 now against teams above 500. So, yeah, I'm taking the Eagles to win this game on the road.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take the Cowboys at home, but I feel like I should change that pick, but I'm not going to.
Well, no, you need to catch up somehow. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'll eat my words if the Cowboys win this game, but until they beat somebody that's good,
it's a prove it game for the Cowboys, okay?
Huh?
It's a prove it game for the Cowboys, okay?
Yeah, okay, Skip Bayless. Next, we got the Titans versus the Dolphins. The Dolphins, I think, will win this game easily. By the way, Tyreek Hill is like really close to breaking 2,000 yards receiving this year.
Not that it matters because I don't have a pick, but if I did have a pick, he's my MVP.
Yeah, he's the MVP. Like, it's going to be Brock Purdy or something stupid like that.
Yeah, it's going to be the Corp. Oh, fun fact for you, and you probably heard this too because I think we talked about this. We listened to the same show. The MVPs of the last 10 years have either been a number 1 or number 2 seed in the playoffs.
That doesn't really shock me.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that take, but it's been a conversation for a long time. What does MVP mean? Is it the best player is the most valuable player? And for me, it's the most valuable player. So you take Tyreek Hill off the Dolphins offense, and that offense is not half as explosive. If you take Brock Purdy, who's probably going to win it, if you take him off the 49ers offense, guess what? Sam Darnold could probably, that's who their backup is. He could probably go in there and run that offense half as effectively, if not just as effectively as Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
That's a system offense. Every quarterback, I mean, you got Nick Mullins, you got CJ Beathard. You got a lot of guys who are like, who the heck are you talking about that can run that offense?
Which kind of brings my question. What the heck happened to Trey Lance? How come he couldn't run that offense?
Well, first off, there was so with Trey Lance, they were actually going to, from what I've understood, they were going to change everything for Trey Lance. They just saw a lot of potential. So they weren't going to be like this zone run team that they are now. They were going to try to be like more like QB runs, kind of like the option type stuff.
Yeah.
Do like run past options all the time. But then when he got injured, he just stuck with your offense. And then Trey Lance was already raw as it was because he didn't play much at North Dakota State. I think that's where he came from.
I think you're right, yeah.
Yeah. So you're coming from a 1AA school, and then you only get like 1 year of starts there, I think it was. And then you're the 3rd overall pick in the NFL. So you got the pressures of that. And then right away you break your foot.
Right.
Yeah. So it was just a perfect storm of disasters. And then they just kept the offense the same. And if you're going to keep that offense the same, you don't have to invest as much in your quarterback. most quarterbacks could probably survive in that system. The issue was last year was they ran out of quarterbacks because of injuries.
Right.
But yeah, so Tyreek would be the MVP of the league for me also. But anyways, we're both taking the Dolphins in this game. And then the last game of the week is the Packers versus the Giants. The Packers, who all of a sudden are in the playoff picture in the NFC, against the Giants, who are not in the playoff picture in the NFC. Green Bay is just playing really good football right now, and they're starting to scare me. I'm not going to lie.
I was thinking that too, yeah. They're the one team I don't want to see if they, stick with the wild card works out and the Lions can hold on to this division. That's the one team I don't want them to play as the wild card.
Yeah. Well, we're in week 14, so there is 14, 15, 16, 17. I think there's 5 weeks left of the season, and the Lions have a 3-game lead in the division. So it was going to take an epic collapse, which I'm not going to put it past the Lions.
Right.
But we're going to think positive thoughts here. I'm a believer in positive thinking changes things. So we're going to think positive thoughts that the Lions are going to beat the Bears. Packers are going to lose to the Giants, and it's a 4-game with 4 games to go. That's how we're going to think right now.
Okay. So who are you taking in this game?
I'm taking the Packers.
Yep, me too.
Yep.
I mean, they're on a 3-game win streak. They beat the Chargers at home. They beat the Lions on the road, and then they just beat Kansas City. Obviously, the Lions and Chiefs right now are the top 2 in their, or not division, but they're division leaders right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got Green Bay winning.
Yep. So that is these week's picks, and that's what we have for you guys this week. The big things we wanted to get across were the baseball trades. I was joking around with Alex. Let me check something real quick before we sign off, because I was joking around with Alex that with how things have been going on, that something big in the sports world is going to go on while we are recording, and it did not happen, so we're good.
Okay.
Yeah. I was joking with him, though, that Shohei would sign in the next half hour to an hour while we're recording this, and thankfully it did not happen. So, or else we'd be here for another 20 minutes talking about that, and I don't think our wives would appreciate that one too much.
No.
Thank you guys so much for checking out today's episode. We'll be back next week. We haven't really figured out the scheduling for recordings yet. My basketball coaching schedule. If I looked at the schedule right, this was the only crazy week. So,
that's good.
Yeah, most weeks we will not have 5 games. So that's just crazy, though. We won our first game this week, by the way. It was the middle school team we had. They won by 25-30 points. They scored 30 points in the first quarter, and then we took out our better players, and I think we scored 10 the rest of the game. Because we didn't want to embarrass the other team, So we made sure we won the game, then we told the better players, all right, no more scoring. And then varsity last night, we're also coaching varsity. That did not go as well. They're in Michigan high school sports. We're in Michigan. If you're down by 40 points or more at halftime, they go to a running clock.
It was that bad. Did not know it was that bad.
Yeah. So there was a running clock going on in the second half. And in order to get the running clock to stop, you have to put the game back into 30. That clock kept running the whole game. So that's how it went.
Yeah.
But we had fun, though.
Hey, that's all that matters.
Yeah, before the game, I thought I'd be sitting on the bench helping coach or attempting to help coach. And then we get to the court or the gym, whatever you want to call it, and they go, hey, you're going to learn how to do the books for the road games. I'm like, okay. So they're like, you know what you're doing? I go, no, but I've kept score at baseball games before. How much different can it be?
Right.
And they're all like, you got this then. So that hat I got, which I'll wear next episode, I got a new hat. It's got a little pencil clip. So I can wear that one. And I was joking with them. I go, hey, I got the perfect hat for this now. And they're all like, oh, great.
Did
So
did the home team have their own bookkeeper?
yeah,
Were
so I
they
was not.
in were they in uniform? Did they have the referee shirt on?
I don't believe they did. No.
Okay. I felt like when I played, they had to be like it was part of the high school rule or something that they just changed. I don't know if
So
that's true or not, but
so the school that I coach at, I don't really want people to know exactly where I live. I mean,
no,
most of
yeah,
our listeners probably know us and stuff like that.
yeah.
But I'm not going to say the name of the cities or anything like that. But the school I'm coaching at is a small private school.
Mm,
That is so small that it's not. Some years were part of the MSSAA, other years were not, just
okay.
because of size of school. So I don't believe we are right now. So our games aren't technically official.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know exactly how it works, but like I know we're not like eligible for districts or anything like that, but like
Right.
nor do we want to be
Right.
because
Yeah.
we're not
Anyways,
that we're not that type of private school that recruits kids to come play for us. That's not us.
it's not true.
We
Not from what I heard back
Who
in the
did we
day.
recruit?
You didn't recruit, but I heard stories back in the day. Anyways, let's end this. We're almost at an hour. Let's end this. We can talk about it
Okay.
after when we go off.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for checking out today's episode of Hardball Sports. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It looks like we got some live watchers, so I appreciate that, guys.
All right.
If you are new to us, we have our full podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so be sure to check those out. I've been doing the podcast for about 2 years, on and off. I took a little hiatus there for 6 months to a year, just got married and stuff like that, and got busy with that. Um, but this does go back 2 years, so be sure to check out the older episodes. I will say this though, the last month or so, the quality's gone up just because Alex has joined me, and it's actually two people talking instead of me talking to a wall. So it's been a lot of fun. I enjoy
Yeah.
the communication with Alex. We've been friends forever. But anyways, thank you guys so much for checking today's episode out. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, be sure to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, Facebook. Links for that's all in the description. And if you guys have any questions, just shoot me a text or leave me a comment or something, or email us at hardballsportstalk@gmail.com. And like I said at the beginning of the episode, we're always looking for suggestions. We have ideas. I promise we're not completely hopeless, but we also want this to be something you guys enjoy. So if you guys ever want us to cover anything, shoot us a text. Let us know. Thank you guys so
Yes.
much for checking today's episode out, and I hope you have a great day.